Aliko Dangote, the so-called richest man in Africa, appointed a white person as CEO of his refining petrochemicals company based in Nigeria. Does this mean Aliko Dangote could not find any qualified black African in the 21st century to be CEO? Is Aliko Dangote to be blamed, or are these Africans abroad who constantly brag to be smart, educated, and successful to be blamed? Please, subscribe, share, and comment. Thank you. For many decades, if not centuries, black Africans have developed a bad habit of believing and trusting everybody except themselves and other black people in the diaspora. This mindset and behavior have been very detrimental to Africans economically, politically, technologically, socially, and psychologically. How can a race of people, like black Africans, are so dumb, so short-minded, and so passive that they intentionally engage in behavior that undermine their progress, future, and even their well-being? Aliko Dangote, the so-called African richest man, has appointed a white British man, David Bird, as CEO of the DANGOTE's refining petrochemicals company. When I came across this news, my stomach turned up and I almost tried to dig a hole in the ground to hide in it, as an attempt to escape a shame and an embarrassment. I don't have anything against David Bird in particular or against Europeans in general, but I do find Aliko Dangote's decision problematic. By passing over his fellow Nigerians and Africans, Dangote is implicitly telling the world that Africans are so worthless that he could not find a single qualified black person for this position. With more than 1 billion of black people in Africa, Aliko Dangote could not find a single black African to appoint or trust as CEO of his company? I think that Africa still has more dark days ahead, as some Africans, particularly the so-called leaders, elites, and intellectuals, still look down on their own kinds or cannot trust their fellow black Africans. By the way, what happens to the so-called smart, educated, and successful Nigerians who brag all day that they are better than black people in the diaspora? One might think that the big problem or the century-old dysfunction Africa has faced is the result of a few dumb and mindless individuals among Africans, but the root of its problems and dysfunction is deeper. The so-called African leaders, elites, and intellectuals are solely responsible for the ongoing problems and dysfunctions in Africa. How is it possible that Africans, who live on the richest continent on earth, go to Europeans or Asians begging for money? How can Africans, who are blessed with the richest lands on earth, are incapable of funding their own institutions? Let's not lie to ourselves. This ongoing mindset or stupidity among the so-called African leaders, elites, and intellectuals is more than self-hatred in sickness. Still, there are out there some black Africans who convince themselves to be smart and won't hesitate to tell me that there is nothing wrong with Aliko Dangote appointing an European as CEO because Google appointed an Indian as its CEO. The appointment of a light-skinned Indian by Google as its CEO is not the same as Aliko Dangote appointing a white European as CEO. I'm not here to lecture you about the caste system in India or about how enough Indians have also subscribed to anti-black racism. Please, tell me why Aliko Dangote could not appoint any of his fellow Nigerians or Africans as the CEO but a white European? How many European-owned companies have appointed a black African as their CEO? Should we Africans have to remind ourselves every day that Europeans and Arabs enslaved our grandparents, committed genocides against black people, and continue to dehumanize black people around the world, before we make decisions that are in our best interest and in the best interest of the future generations of Africans? I have looked around, but I have not yet seen any oppressed race of people on this earth who put their oppressors in charge of their destiny, have you? Is it possible that Europeans, for instance, who enslaved Africans, committed genocide against black people, undermine Africa, and continue to dehumanize black people around the world will suddenly become the saviors and protectors of Africans? The answer is no. Please, tell me what you think about the African richest man, Aliko Dangote, appointing a white European as CEO of his company based in Nigeria. It is high time Africans woke up from this lethargy, started trusting their own kinds, took their destiny into their own hands, started making wise decisions, and stopped bowing to their oppressors and everybody. Otherwise, Africans will still be the laughingstock and the punching bag of the world.